Play or die, play or die, play or die, play or die, play or die. And after this, I would rather choose the latter option. VHS 99 is a new Shudder original and continuing the long-running series of VHS anthology horror movies. If you're unfamiliar with what VHS is, here's a brief rundown. There was Beta, there was VHS, and VHS won the battle in the US thanks to the porn industry. They went with VHS while Japan went with Beta. Okay, that's actually not what the VHS anthology horror movies are about, but if you are unfamiliar with the VHS concept, you used to have to put tapes, cassette tapes, into particular VCRs, not DVD players, not Blu-rays, no streaming. You had to put them in, you had to set something, or even hit record at the right time, and then you would watch them and rewatch them, and you would be kind and please rewind when you went to your local video store and rented a VHS tape. My God, I'm so goddamn old. I remember when VHSs were actually kind of expensive, and then it got to the point where DVDs came along. Now we got other stuff like HD DVD and now Blu-ray. Now soon the movies will be streamed to our goddamn brain. Also, when it comes to the VHS anthology horror concept, there is VHS, the first one. Obviously, it'd be a bit weird if VHS was the last one because you have to have the continuation of weird numbers and everything. And it was an overarching story with guys that were looking for a particular VHS tape, and they would put certain tapes in, and they would look for this stuff, and they would see strange and fucked up anthology horror style movies where directors, writers, and people would be able to come up with concepts and make short form horror movies. The first one actually was mostly good. In fact, I would say Amateur Night was the best one easily. I will never go on a blind date again. And again, haven't gone on a blind date in a number of years. My God, I'm so lonely. Soon, everybody will turn to dust, including me. Nevertheless, there was like one particular tape that wasn't all that great. And then we got to VHS 2, Electric VHS Boogaloo, where Safe Haven was the best one. And it's about the Indonesian death cult for those that have seen it. VHS Viral. We don't talk about VHS Viral. Nobody likes VHS Viral. I don't even think the filmmakers liked VHS Viral. And the sad thing is, there were a couple decent ideas, but the whole overarching thing of, it being viral video and people consuming media in weird ways and whatever, you need to send this shit out and poison everybody. It was really stupid. And also only 3 tapes, and the movie ran like really, really short. And none of the tapes were all that good. I probably need to rewatch VHS Viral and make fun of it. And then the whole thing went on hiatus for a while because VHS Viral was absolute shit. Then VHS 94, they came out on Shudder last year that I also reviewed. You can check that out. That one actually was mostly a return to form. It wasn't great. It did have another overarching story. But when it comes to VHS 99, which I just want to say right now, according to a particular article, was one of 2 VHS films filmed in conjunction with each other. There's VHS 85, I assume, that will be coming out sometime next year. Though they filmed it back to back, maybe they should just drop it next week. I mean, they might as well. They could make up for this. My tipping my hand already as to how I felt about VHS 99. VHS 94 was all right. Some good, some that was a little bit messy, but it was, again, a return to form. This one doesn't have an overarching story. It does have a few interludes with toy soldiers and a stop-motion type video, like a home video where toy soldiers are getting run over and attacking monsters and whatever, and it's like a little home movie that a teen makes. So there's 5 particular movies, and they're directed by different people, written by different people, and the concepts aren't the worst idea in the world. Something didn't coagulate with this, though. So here's a brief rundown of the tapes. You have the shredding, which is a bunch of punk rockers that go into a particular place where a band was killed after an electrical fire, and they didn't make it out, but all the fans did. They got trampled by their favorites, and they anger the wrong people. That's all I'm going to say right there. Suicide Bid, which proves that college pranking is probably something that should have been a thing of the past, or should have never existed in the first place. Actually, pranking isn't the worst thing in the world as long as nobody gets hurt. Well, of course, when you have something called Suicide Bid, I wonder if you can guess what's going to happen. Somebody gets buried in a coffin because they want to be in a sorority. And then there is Ozzy's Dungeon. Not to be confused with Ozzy Osbourne, because I don't think Ozzy Osbourne would be able to spell dungeon or even say it if you offered him $5 million or whatever quaaludes he's on right now. A kid's game show or a horrific accident leads to some consequences for the former host because the family is pissed. And then we get the Gawkers, not to be confused with Hulk Hogan and, that particular trial. If you get it, you get it. Where, well, teen boys are spying on their new, hot, gorgeous blonde neighbor. Then they find out that maybe this particular person isn't exactly who they thought. And then there's the Hell and Back. That was probably the best one. That one was directed by Joseph and Vanessa Winter, who wrote and directed, and Joseph Winter starred in Deadstream, that I just reviewed yesterday. You can check that out. Also, Melanie Stone is in that as well, and Joseph Winter is in this as the camera guy. So he's typecasting himself. Nevertheless, that's the brief rundown right there. So, as far as the tapes go, it kicks in at times. None of the tapes are particularly bad. The third one, Ozzy's Dungeon, is fine. I think it tries to be the most ambitious. To Hell and Back was probably the best one. The Gawkers was okay. It just seems like they're running out of steam. And I mean, with VHS 85, I sort of get it. They're going to go back to when VHS was really starting to explode because the whole VHS beta thing that I talked about in the beginning. I just don't know how much more you can get out of this. Because again, VHS 1, pretty good, except for the second tape, which I believe is Second Honeymoon. The third one, or the second one rather, except for the Alien Slumber Party one, or whatever the hell they called it, where, sorry, spoiler, they killed the dog that had the camera on it. Fuck you people that made that. You didn't need to kill the dog. God damn it, you bastards. And the third one, VHS Viral, wasn't good. 94, I'm struggling to remember a ton about it, but I do remember one particular one that I think was from the same people that made Safe Haven, or was in the same vein, where robotics and humans are human centipede together, and that was actually pretty good. And then the one about the conservative militia on the farm being targeted was pretty cool as well. Other than that, VHS 99 doesn't really offer anything new. Now, there are a few decent gore effects. There are some neat little ideas. There is a particular girl named Veronica Blue that has a very Franca Potente, Run Lola Run quality about her. I would like to see her in more stuff. I think she showed a lot of personality in just a little bit that a little bit of time she was in. Got a great look. There's a bunch of pretty girls. There's a bunch of weird guys. And there's a bunch of stuff, again, that there seem to be ideas bubbling up, and nothing really nothing coagulates, nothing forms. It's just a bit strange. So I am going to get into spoilers here in just a second, but I mean, it's on Shudder. You can check it out. Shudder is a great service. No, I'm not sponsored. Wouldn't mind being sponsored, but why would they sponsor my little channel? They need to focus on their own content. Shudder is a really good horror streaming service, so with some great originals and some that don't, hit. But you're going to get that with any streaming service, and I'm just grateful there's a horror-centric streaming service that offers some really, really good stuff. So again, getting into spoilers here, but check it out if you'd like. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so The Shredding, directed by Maggie Levin, who's done TV and shorts. Okay, so you have these punk rock kids, including one that is Akur, and he is a Hindu, and he talks about particular ghosts that you shouldn't piss off. Well, they do jackass-style stunts and do all this stuff, and they talk about this band called Bitch Cat that was killed at the art house, or the art collective, that is, because they were killed in an electrical fire. And they go and they provoke the spirits, and then, of course, Bitch Cat shows up, and we see home video stuff and everything, and we see the very, again, beautiful Veronica Blue, who, again, I'd really like to see what else she could be in, because she's got that star quality about her, just in that brief part. But we see in those videos, like, what's a party without a little bit of violence? I mean, I will say violence is really about the only thing this series has anymore. And the play or die, get off my fucking stage! And the whole play or die thing gets played up because, and then the whole die thing gets, deaded up, I guess. They piss off the ghosts attack them, rip them apart, piece them together, and then they play stuff, and they just do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Also, they look like weird zombies, obviously. It looks like they tried to live this shit, except without the glasses, the ingenuity, or Roddy Piper. Of course, Roddy Piper would have to play one of the zombies now. I'm sorry. Rest in peace, Roddy Piper. This one, I don't know. It was okay. I did note there was that Akor had those. He had some spices that were like spiritual, his 11 spiritual herbs and spices, as I pointed out. And yeah, they get pieced together, they got to play, and that's pretty much it right there. Suicide Bid, directed by Johannes Roberts. If that name sounds familiar, I wrote down the names of the movies he did. Storage 24, 47 meters down, Uncaged, Strangers Pray at Night, and Resident Evil Raccoon City. You want to know what all those movies have in common? I hated every single one of them. This guy should not be allowed to make movies. Because Strangers Pray at Night was one of the worst sequels in a while, one of the worst horror sequels. And Resident Evil Raccoon City was one of the worst movies of last year. And that's saying something because that was in the same year when Old came out, even though Old was possibly my least favorite movie of the year. You'll have to check out that list. But there is a girl named Lily that wants to pledge to a sorority. So, okay, the sorority girls say, we're going to bury you for overnight. And you have a camera. We want to see how you go. We want to see how you react. Oh, yeah, all these are found footage style, just in case you didn't quite figure that out. In case you're new to this VHS franchise. Of course, if you saw any of the goddamn trailer, you would have recognized that. But nevertheless, these girls basically play pranks on her. Also, there was this other girl that did the same thing called Guillotine, who ended up dying because the previous sorority sisters left her for a week. And they're all soul sisters. Let me get that soul sister. So it will play on your claustrophobia. I am claustrophobic, so that is the one thing about this that got me. And Lily ends up basically almost dying. I say almost dying because they imply something a little bit later, but you got to pull the cord if you're scared, and then the bell will ring, and it'll be like the Nun. Except I don't know what the hell that was about. So don't panic, Marge. Stop panicking. So Lily freaks out. She pulls the bell. They're going to dig her out. Then police arrive, so they leave her. And then she ends up getting flooded out because a whole bunch of rain hits and ends up flooding her out. Except this guillotine shows up. And then these girls try to dive into the lake grave now to find her. And then suddenly they make a pact saying, well, let us never speak of this again. Okay, we're here. Let us never speak of this shortcut again. Then they get trapped in coffins, and Lily says, I made a deal. You're all going to die because I wanted to help her collect souls. That's it. That's it right there. I did like the other interlude of fighting the stop-motion monsters. Not the rat monster, Rataman. All hail Rataman. It's from VHS 94. It's not the same creature, but nevertheless. Ozzy's Dungeon, which again is probably the best one of, well, I mean, To Hell and Back is probably fine. That one actually sort of reminded me of the October 31st, 98 tape. This one was about a kid's show where there's a very, very, very creepy host. And it's almost like if Nickelodeon was directed by a horror director. And, you know, like any of those Nickelodeon kids shows, you got to climb through, you got to do all this stuff, and you got to get through, you got to get this flag. Well, what happens is this girl, Donna, suffers a severe leg injury. Really, really gruesome, actually. I was like, oh, okay, this is doing that. She was about to achieve her dream, and that's the thing. If you win this game, then you get to have Ozzy, whoever or whatever Ozzy is, grant your wish. And then she breaks her leg. Really, really gruesomely. So then we see the parents freaking out. We smash cut to this host being trapped in a cage. And this family has stewed about this stuff. And they have a complete replica in their basement of what's going on. A really bad replica, by the way, of all this shit going on. There was meat catching, so they throw rotted meat or uncooked meat at him. The mother threatens to throw acid on him. Despite the fact that no container would have actually been able to hold acid, especially not that particular container, but nevertheless. And Donna has gangrenous stuff on her leg. Now, how she's lived that long and how she's been in a wheelchair, I don't know. Could they not afford any medical stuff? I mean, seriously, you could have probably put peroxide on that and healed it, or at least done a little something. And they make this host go through a whole bunch of stuff. Well, He doesn't quite make the 60-second thing that was in the previous game where Donna broke her leg. So he's going to get killed. Wait, wait, wait. You want your wish granted? I can take you to Ozzy. Even though the show's been canceled for a while. So they go to the previous set that's shut down with cobwebs and everything. And they go into this particular door. I've never been beyond here, he says. This one girl, or one woman that's very statuesque and looks like she could lift a goddamn planet. Seriously, that's no disrespect. That woman looked strong as fuck, I believe, as the kids say. She ends up leading them through. And this host is like, okay, let's go through. They're pushing Donna on the wheelchair because she's got the busted leg. Let's go through all this stuff. Let's get to Ozzy. They're in this cave, and it knows my aura. Not him, it. There is a giant table demon straight out of it. What was it? Blade. Remember Blade? Remember that weird fat creature that was on that thing that they exposed the UV rays to? Yeah, it's like that. Make it a good wish, kid, the host says, or the former host. Donna whispers something, and everybody gets their faces melted off by this weird demon that comes out. It's like down Periscope. If the Periscope went down in the depths of hell and came up and fries everybody's face, and then Donna smiles, and that's it. I guess her wish was for everybody that wronged her, including her family, to die. Maybe to have her leg healed too? I don't goddamn know. So, then there's a guy working out, doing a workout thing and everything. What the hell are you doing? Why are you filming this? Is that my camera? So he's filming all this soldier stuff, and oh my god, it's like if Kenny Omega was a kid. Seriously, look at that teen / early 20-something individual and tell me that is not Kenny Omega in a different life. If you are a non-wrestling fan, you have no fucking idea who Kenny Omega is. So anyway, nevertheless, we go to The Gawkers, directed by Tyler McIntyre, who did, as I check my notes, Patchwork and Tragedy Girls. I believe I saw Tragedy Girls. I remember it being all right. So yes, there's a really, really hot blonde that moved next door or across the street. All these kids gawk at her. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And then they have and the main kid that it's his house, or his parents' house rather. Hey, little brother, you met her while you were out doing all this stuff, out doing rollerblading and everything. She got a new computer. Go install spyware on her computer. Mind you, this is VHS 99. Not only is this stuff really, really amateur, but also that mid to late 90s computer tech. Voyeurism. It does a creep's body good. So yeah, they install the spyware, and then they spy on her, obviously, with the spyware. I mean, they gawk at her tits. She's a pretty girl, we'll say that much. I mean, and I don't really understand why people would need to do this. I mean, yeah, granted, 99, the internet wasn't what it was, but still, don't spy on people. Don't put shit in their hotel room. Just don't do that shit. Resident Evil 2 footage. Haha, that game. Or was it Resident Evil 3? Stars. Wait. I think it would have been Resident Evil 2 at that point. Nevertheless, maybe it was 3. So, it turns out that this is not a girl. She's whatever Medusa is, and then she turns them all to stone. Literally, that's it. Well, she tears one guy up. And, I mean, this all happens within, like, a minute. She sees him, she crashes through their goddamn window, and rips one guy apart and turns everybody else to stone. And we go to Hell and Back, directed by Vanessa and Joseph Winter, who did the aforementioned Deadstream. Melanie Stone is in this, who I just want to say is absolutely perfect for horror movies. And on December 31st, 1999, Lord Ukaban is going to be summoned by this cult. These two videographers are there, and they end up getting dragged to hell because the thing goes absolutely tits up, this ritual. They have to fight out and get out of this cave. I mean, hell, this cave that's about 100 feet away. See, I mean, look, I mean, I understand it's a short-form horror movie and that they didn't have the biggest budget, but, oh well, this was fine. I guess the ingenuity was fine. So there's demons and guts and weird traps and everything, and there's Mabel, played by Melanie Stone, who is bound, determined to get them out as long as you put my name in the book. I want to be remembered. And then they have Ukaban who just keeps yelling. And this weird demon that's like straight out of Legend that's just lording over everybody. And what ends up happening is they eventually get these two friends have arguments. It's Joseph Winter, and I didn't catch the other guy's name. It's not important for the purposes of this equation. They get to Lord Ukaban's, lair where they have to go through spider webs and weird fleshy caves. It's bad when you have to go through weird fleshy caves to get to the pleasure spot. Not that I speak from experience. Let's move on. They dive into Lord Ukaban after Mabel gets killed. Write my name. Okay, sure. They dive in there, but they get put into the wrong bodies. One gets put into the sacrificial body, gets killed, and then Joseph seemingly gets killed. But just before, writes Mabel's name in the book and then dies. And then there we go. That's it for that. And then at the very end of the credits, the same cults are summoning Mabel, because why the fuck not? So, okay, again, good ideas, not great, and I'm sorry, but this just didn't work for me. I will give it a C because it was fine, but it wasn't great. And that's the thing. When an anthology horror movie is just average and goes out to almost 2 hours, it's a bit of something there. That being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.